I'm Professor Lisa Given. I am Director of the Social Change Enabling Impact Platform here at RMIT and the lead organizer for this event. I would certainly like to start by acknowledging the Woiwurrung and Bunurong peoples of the Eastern Kulin Nation on whose lands we are having fun tonight, and to pay my respect to elders past, present, and emerging. Tonight you are in for an absolute treat. Not only the screening of Stephen Elliott's 1994 masterpiece, The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, to celebrate its 30th anniversary, but a star-studded panel to share their insights on why this film is so important to Australia and to the world. This event started, as many do, with a hallway conversation with a colleague of mine who sadly can't be here tonight, Dr. Sarah Polkinghorn. We were trying to identify a landmark event that would get the community really jazzed up to be part of Social Sciences Week. And Sarah said to me, "You do know it's the 30th anniversary of this fabulous film, right?" And I immediately started stalking people online and going, oh my gosh, who can we actually bring into the theater here at the lovely Capitol? And I kept thinking, imagine if we could get one of the Oscar award-winning costume designers. Wouldn't that be fantastic? And happily, one of them is now living back here again in Australia and is with us tonight. Woo, I know. I couldn't believe it. I love it when you have that glimmer in your eye and you think, what if? And it just shows you've got to actually reach for the stars. And often the stars will come to you and go, oh my God, yes, of course, why would I not do that? I also really want to thank Steve Gaunson, who you're going to meet in a minute. He is the facilitator for our panel tonight. And when I reached out to him and said, hey, we're doing this thing, and you study film, and maybe you'd love to help us with this, he jumped in with both feet as well. This event is one of many activities that are running as part of Social Sciences Week 2024, which is an initiative of the Academy of the Social Sciences in Australia that really aims to foster a deeper understanding of social sciences and their crucial role in society by running events like this. RMIT is the principal sponsor for Social Sciences Week. We're the only one in the nation named as principal sponsor, and this is with the support of the Enabling Impact Platforms, College of Design and Social Context, the College of Business and Law, and the School of Global, Urban, and Social Studies here at RMIT. Thank you very much to all of those groups because we could not do it without their support. Since its release 30 years ago, this multi-award-winning film has become a symbol of freedom and support for the LGBTQIA+ community, demonstrating the profound impact of social sciences in our daily lives. We're thrilled to celebrate this milestone together here at the beautiful Capitol Theatre, which is also celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. For those of you visiting this venue for the first time, please do take some time to just stare at the ceiling. We have a lovely light show that you're going to see a little bit later on, so that's always a real crowd pleaser. But it really is a spectacular place to be hosting this film on the big screen. I want to give a big thank you as well to RMIT Culture, AFI Research Collection, the RMIT Venue team, RMIT Comms and Media team, and all the support people who have helped tonight, especially Jenny Brannigan, who's from RMIT Culture and really making sure that I get to the right place on this stage, among many other duties over the past few months. And Kelly Fu, who is my right-hand operations officer for the Social Change Enabling Impact Platform. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Steve Gaunson to the stage, who will take over tonight's panel proceedings. Steve, come on out.
Thanks, Lisa. I think the panel are going to appear any moment. It's a very disobedient panel. I should warn everybody. Please welcome to the stage Academy Award winner, costume designer, Tim Chappel, Queer Film Festival program director, film aficionado, film curator, and star RMIT tutor, Cerise Howard. Executive producer of the film, Rebel Penfold-Russell. And from South Australia History Trust, Kristy, Kokegei. Hello and welcome to all. All right, You good, panel? You got your mics how we were told to use them? First question is, what are your memories of the first time you watched this film with a cinema audience? Rebel.
The first time for me was in the Queer Film Festival of San Francisco at the Cuban Theatre. And we were in, there were 200 films or something. And after the screening, there was about 5 seconds of absolute silence. And we thought, oh, God. And then we couldn't get out of the theatre. People got up and stampeded on the floor, wooden floor, old theatre, just like this, Art Deco. And it was just mega. And we were all just left there standing at the back going, oh my God. Tim's very upset that he wasn't asked because we didn't have any money, we had to fly ourselves.
Rude.
Sorry.
First time I saw it was at our cast and crew screening called Family and Friends in George Street Cinemas in Sydney. And I was blown away because I was like, oh my God, I thought we were making a little home movie and it was really good. And everyone came out and we were kind of shell-shocked about how good we thought it was.
That's quite a home that you have.
I have a strange notion that I may never have seen it in a cinema before, which is shameful, being a hidebound cinephile and a Queer Film Festival director.
Yeah.
But look, back in '94 when this came out, I were not even yet a baby queer. I did not know. Can you fathom it? Can you Adam and Eve it? Can you Adam and Steve it? You cannot.
Are you old enough to remember when the film was released?
Oh yeah. Yes, thank you for aging me. I am.
Well, because I'm old enough, and my memory of the film when it came out was just, there were lines outside of cinemas and everybody was seeing this film. And in that Oppenheimer Barbie way, there were 2 films that come out in 1994, which is Muriel's Wedding and Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and it was almost like you had to go and see both of these films, both with Bill Hunter, both using ABBA. It was quite this sort of cultural moment in Australian cinema.
And both used Bob. Bob is Bill Hunter, and he's also in Muriel's Wedding, except in ours he has a heart, he finds his heart. In Muriel's, he has no heart.
Yeah. Kristy, when was the first time you saw the film?
Yeah, so I didn't see it in the cinema. I was a teenage girl in regional South Australia. My mum went down to the VHS store and rented it. I sat on the couch with my mum and my dad and my brother and we watched it in Jamestown in South Australia. And I must tell you, I've never ever thought of ping pong balls the same way ever again.
What did your dad think?
Yeah. It was, interesting. Interesting experience, I tell you.
Tim, where's your Academy Award that you won for this film? Where do you keep it?
It's on the fridge.
It's on the fridge, not behind a cabinet. No?
Well, I put it on the fridge so that people can't run in and steal it when they're walking past my house. My house is right on the street.
And when you win the Academy Award, do you just take it in your luggage home or do they ship it home? How does it actually get home?
Well, Stephen, that's quite a story.
Yeah.
The first thing is when they hand you the Academy Award that you've just won, as you're walking backstage, they rip it out of your hands because it's just a prop. Yeah. Thank you. That's how I felt. I was like, And then they hand you another one, which is also a prop to take to the... So when you win an Oscar, when you go backstage, it's this whole incredible circus. So you go into first the radio room, which is as big as this, seriously, maybe half the size, full of all these reporters, and you're on stage, and then you go in, they march you off that into the photographer room, and it's huge, and people are all taking photos, but each time you have to give the Oscar back, and you get a new one.
Okay, and it's now on your fridge. A bit of film trivia, which I don't know the answer to, but I don't think there's another film that only had a budget of $25,000 that's won Academy Award for Best Costume Design. I think it is the lowest budgeted film ever to win Best Costume Design, which is an incredible achievement. Yeah, give him a clap.
When I did the musical, I had $750,000. I think that's like a 3,000% increase. Maybe 30,000?
Costume assistants in making these amazing costumes came from all different areas, including inmates at the Long Bay Jail.
Such a good story.
Tell us the story. How did that all happen?
So I made most of the costumes for Priscilla, and Stefan hired me because I could sew. Primarily not because I was a great designer, but because I could sew. As we're getting towards shooting time, the things were really getting out of control, and this bloody waddle dress was made from pom-poms made from organza. And has anyone here made a pom-pom before? Raise your hands. Yeah, I knew it wasn't. Oh my God, all those hands. It takes forever. Making one pom-pom takes forever. So I realised I designed this costume out of these organza pom-poms, and I wasn't going to get it done. And oddly enough, just happened to be at a dinner party where somebody was like, oh yes, I work at Long Bay and I do arts and crafts with the prisoners. And I was like, bitch, get here, in the bathroom, now. Gave her a line of Coke. Okay, we're on. We're doing this. And the interesting thing was, so she took on the task and she said, look, Tim, there's a small problem. I was like, oh, fuck. Don't tell me I have to make all these fucking pom-poms myself. She's like, no, they're not allowed to have scissors in Long Bay, so you're going to have to cut all the fabric first. I was like, yes, job done.
Okay, and they were good workers?
What's that?
They were good workers?
Well, they were good workers, and they got a thanks in the film, and they were really happy to see that their work... In fact, when they took the pom-poms away, she said they were really upset. They were like, oh, can't we do something else? But unfortunately, everything was done.
Right. Cerise, do you have a favourite costume from the film? Anything that stays in your mind?
Probably. I think more than just the individual costumes, it's the combination of costume and setting.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you design a costume knowing that it's to be worn on top of a bus moving through a desert? How do you do that? How do you imagine the aerodynamic properties of the fabric? How does it work, Tim?
Oddly enough, thanks to Rebel and the other producers, I did camera tests, the original one, and we all went, yeah, that's really shit. So I said, can I have some money, please? So basically, they spent almost double my budget on buying every metre of silver lame in Australia. And then I spent nearly 2 days without sleep sewing it on the bias. So that's the key. So I cut it all on the bias because I knew that if I left it as long strands, they would all just turn on themselves. But when you cut things on the bias, old-fashioned people here will know what I'm talking about, they become elastic. So it catches the air and swirls in that beautiful way that it did.
That's if there's wind. And how did you get the lame, remind me?
Oh, thank you, Mummy.
I'm not his mother. His mother worked at Spotlight.
Mummy said, yes. Mummy said, get whatever you need, just make it good.
Are we moving on? I think we're moving on. Okay. Could you just say something very quickly about the thong dress? Because the thong dress is so iconic. I think it's one of the only dresses that remain. It's at the National Film and Sound Archive.
The only reason that dress still exists is because it was too big for people to steal on the last day of shooting, and they couldn't fit it in their suitcases. So it remains. And also no one wanted to get Hugo's tinea.
So a lot of the costumes no longer exist, and for a while, Kristy, the bus was gone and didn't exist, and it's survived New South Wales fires and floods. Tell us about the journey of the bus and what it's went through after the film.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's like a movie in itself, the journey that bus has taken. So soon after filming, they sold it back to the original owners of the bus, who then hired it out to the Whitlams. So it became a tour bus for the Whitlams in 1994. This was it was before Priscilla came out, so they called it the Pink Bus. So it's still, or they should have called it Lavender, right?
Yeah.
But it was the Pink Bus. So, and soon after they finished their tour, it kind of just disappeared. And you're right, there's a whole story that we don't have time to go into. It survived a couple who went through the divorce courts. It travelled around the country. It was hidden on a property. And then no one knew where it was. It just disappeared for about 16 years. And there were so many rumours about who had the bus.
Right.
Until 2018, we got a phone call from a guy called Michael who said, I've got Priscilla, it's sitting on my property in northern New South Wales. So this is the middle of nowhere in Ewinga. We didn't believe him. We sent our curators up, had a look at the bus, thought, well, it's in a pretty terrible state. Bushfires and floods have gone through New South Wales multiple times, and then we see the 2019 to 20 bushfires where the fire comes to within 2 metres of the bus. There are photos of scorched earth, cars around the bus on this property completely burnt out, but there's Priscilla standing, surviving. It's like she was meant to survive. She continues to endure, and it's just the most amazing story. I mean, she survived because the firebombers, the plane came across, dropped its fire retardant on the house, which spilled over onto the bus, and so the bus survived, everything else around it burnt. And so we went over, it's like, wow, this is just meant to be. So there's some kind of some kind of intervention that helped this bus survive. So we called Stefan. We pulled up on our big pants and called the director and said, look, we think we've found the bus. He's like, yeah, you and everyone else. He didn't believe us at all. So we sent him some photos. 10 minutes later, he's like, we need to be on a call. You've found her. And it was like, we still get goosebumps when we think of that moment now. It's like, that was the moment we knew we had Priscilla. And we knew because there was carpet in those photos that Stefan had put into the bus in 1994. And there was a side rail that the camera was mounted onto that he also installed personally. And it's just been a wild, amazing journey ever since.
Yes, so you have, if you find the bus, which is in this decayed state, and now there's a restoration project to restore Priscilla to her glorious beauty. Where are you at with that project?
We're still at the starting blocks. The fire, the floods has exacerbated the rust, the corrosion, the engine seized, the wheels are kaput. The bus is in a terrible state. You can barely recognise her. And we're fundraising now for the restoration. We want to get Priscilla back to a drivable state. We'd love to take Priscilla to Mardi Gras. We'd love to take Priscilla back out there in the community, because what we've found and what you all know is the bus means so much to so many people, and it can continue to drive these positive messages of change and love and acceptance. So we want to restore it to its former glory. Definitely needs to be lavender. We want to deck out the inside to a point from the film, and just bring it back to life.
And Priscilla, the plan is for it to be parked at the National Motor Museum permanently.
Yeah, so that's where it'll end up when we're not out on the road with Priscilla. My curators will tell me off for that. But we want to make a fabulous, huge-scale cinematic exhibition at the National Motor Museum that really does Priscilla justice, sound and light and the music and the stories and the heart that the film has, and bring that to life at the Motor Museum. Well, we've got other awesome cars, but nothing will compare to Priscilla.
Fantastic. Good luck with it. Rebel, was this a difficult film to fund? Were people interested in this film from the start?
No, it was really hard. The Americans went, oh yeah, I want to fund a drag queen in Australia. What's Australia like? Austria? it was impossible. And it was an English company, Polygram, that ended up, we'd had a film that got up before Priscilla with Phil Collins called Frauds, and Hugo was in it.
And you're in it.
Yes, I'm the mother. Yes, the mother of the bad boy. And we got to Cannes to represent Australia, and when you're in competition, it allows us to enter the hidden portals of distributors meaningful, not just, oh, here's my script. And the biggest pile after the Cannes Film Festival is the pile of scripts in the scrap heap out the back of the Carlton. So you don't want to be one of those. Also, they don't do it like that anymore. But we were very, very fortunate that an Australian called Graham Mason was a junior at Polygram, which is no longer sadly in existence, but it was an English studio that made things like My Beautiful Laundrette, and Michael Kuhn was the head. So at the end, if you look at the titles carefully, you'll see Big Cheese. That's Michael Kuhn. So the stable of distributors, there were just wonderful cinema-loving, non-Hollywood English people, and they'd already made a few films, but the English girl called Sarah Radcliffe had the script, and she threw it across the desk to Graham and said, "You're Australian and gay, aren't you? Why don't you read this and tell me what you think?" And he must have said something good, because they said, "Okay, we'll fund it, but we'll fund it to $1 million." And the Film Finance Corporation came in the good old bad old days when you had pre-sales. And they came in and funded it with a lab that would do, it was then called Apocalypse, now it's not called Omnilab, and Create New South Wales, which was New South Wales Film and Television Office. So there really were only 4 participants, and the answer to how would you do it now is streaming, and it would have to be a 7-part series, and it would have to have an American in it. So we funded it and got it up, and it was actually 20,000, your budget, not 25. You got 25 in the end, because some things melted. But it was a big budget, and Muriel's was going at the same time, and I've forgotten the other film. They had the success at San Francisco, which got us the invitation to Cannes, and then everything caught fire. It was, you just need that spark, and then, Tim wins the Oscar. And
how long was our standing ovation in Cannes? Do you remember?
Sorry?
Our standing ovation in Cannes.
Oh, it was 11 minutes. And then Terence said...
Isn't that crazy?
And then Terence said, "We've got to get out of here alive." There are 2 other docos that, if anyone's interested, you should see, and Stephen has one of them called Ladies Please. And this is about the real Tick, the father with the son, Adam, and we'd been filming the doco of the real people, and we took them to Cannes, which was pretty funny. And there's nothing like a Napoleon bus that the landlord loves with drag queen eyelashes on it. But that was filmed, and then years later, Between a Frock and a Hard Place was also filmed, interviewing these very same people, and it goes back to Cannes again.
Yeah, wow.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
We love French people.
When you don't have a lot of money for a budget, sometimes you just have to find whoever you can to fill smaller roles. And there's a couple of people on this stage who are in the film. So tell us about all of the interesting people who have cameos in this film, starting with Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Me? Back to me.
Save the best
I'm
for
in
last.
the finale.
It's worth staying for the credits.
Final credits. So the end credits, save the best to last. It's me.
In drag, in the barber's chair, singing a song.
I'm not in drag. What?
You're not in drag? And were you in a film for any reason, or did Stefan just ask you? Or?
It was just being in the right place at the right time, really.
Yep. Okay. So Tim's in the film. Rebel, you're also in the film. Tell us about your little role.
I'm Logo Woman, and the story of Logo Woman was actually that they were all on location shoot, and there was this Japanese guy that kept appearing in all the towns they ended up in, and he was on a bike, a motorbike obviously, and the bike was just covered in logos. So Steph thought it was hilarious to have someone actually run the race.
Yep.
Except I'm not in the fourth shot because I was filming the doco at the same time.
Right.
So the at night, you'll see in the film, there's this moment where they're all around the campfire and this person goes past with a little trolley going, and the flash, flash, flash with a helmet. And that's the sound recorder's gone to 6.
If you look closely, some of the logos she's wearing are a bit naughty.
And director Stephen Elliott is also in the film.
He's the guy he's standing as the cheeky young doorman at the Alice Springs Casino at the end. Producer Al Clark's the priest. Grant Lee is in the video store of the Chainsaw Mascara. I don't know. There were a lot.
Yeah.
At least I had an equity card.
There's a myth going around that in the opening scene, someone throws a beer can at Hugo Weaving, and the person who throws the beer can is Mel Gibson. Can you confirm or deny whether it is Mel Gibson?
It's Colin.
Mel Gibson's so
Colin
homophobic.
Gibson.
I don't know why we got him as an extra that day.
It was Colin. It was art department.
Okay.
The thing that
No, it was
in the
Mel
can that
Gibson.
hits
Yeah.
Hugo in the head. Yeah, it's Colin.
Okay, so it's not Mel Gibson, and that's...
It was Tom Selleck. He was furious that we were taking attention from Magnum PI.
And Rebel, we need to talk about the theatre, because there's been a huge, Priscilla's always remained because of the theatre production, which Tim was involved with. You did all the costumes for Tim, has been hugely successful. It's played in over 300 countries. I'm really interested in how the film has been received in foreign countries like Japan and Seoul and Switzerland. And
Well, Japan, actually the bus is a Japanese bus. It's a Hino bus. So there you go. And they all love that, by the way. Each culture has embraced the film because it's essentially about the right for everyone to have a family, no matter what your sexual preferences are, and that it's got heart, and it's very vulnerable in many places in the film, and they stand up for their identities in the face of some considerable prejudice, especially in the country, and each country has this, and so it's really about adapting this little story, which is, the genre is called Fish Out of Water. It's a Western version of Fish Out of Water. And this story is in every country, possibly not China, I don't know, but certainly in Japan and Seoul and Sweden and Sao Paulo, Spain. Everyone's got a version of it. And it's the heart they embrace. What they do is adapt it. They embrace it and adapt it. And you get hilarious local songs, and it's in their language. Right. So Tim's the only one that straddles stage and screen, who's done the costumes for both and had a 3,000% increase from my offering, but has gone along with Gary McQuinn, who I went to NIDA with Mel Gibson, and the stage play is vast, a replica, or it's a non-replica where they don't use Tim's costumes, and there's a new AI version a cabaret show that has just been trialled in England, but it's still Tim's costumes. So they have gone all the way around, but the story has little nuances. Like in Tokyo, you can't be rude to women. Like in The Broken Heel, please don't talk about love tonight. Can't do that. Because she's the hotel owner. Right. The girl is on it's the guy that says, we got nothing for people like you, nothing. And the girl is on the floor mopping up, and the drag queens look at her and go, dance with us. So it's a little nuance. And when the cake scene comes along and Bernadette falls asleep on the cake, Japanese don't deal with the story that goes between there, and they go straight to Alice Springs, and there's this big cartoon of the bus pulling away with Just Married and cans all over it, Australian BB cans.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Super cute.
And my favourite sequence, I think, in the film was when they go to that Indigenous community who really embrace them. And interestingly, they're the only community that embrace them when they're outside of Sydney. Does that also appear, that sequence in the stage play?
Yeah, it's whatever culture. Sweden, it's Inuit, and they're all having fun and they love the music.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. And there's a cabaret immersive UK show coming to Australia in 2025. Can you say anything about that?
Tim did the costumes.
Are we there?
Fabulous, but it's not like this. It's not a rate. It's a venue. It's a licensed venue. Mm-hmm. You can go and get a drink, whatever, and it's in the Cockatoo Club.
Okay.
And Trevor Ashley did it as the MC. Hello, I'm gay cliche. Welcome to the Cockatoo Club. I've seen a cockatoo, and it goes on like that. But it's the same story. It's the same. It's still 10 in Go West. Or?
Yeah, has anyone here seen the musical before? Yay! It's a good musical.
At the Fabulous Regent here.
Mm-hmm. So it's the musical, but it's kind of done in a nightclub setting. And what they do is they've devised a way that the stage can break into parts and sail through the audience. So parts of the scene happen over there, parts over there, parts start moving. It's really exciting. So you have a choice when you're watching the show of actually taking the seats, which will be around the outside edge, or being on the floor, which is where you really want to be, where the party happens. So that's 2025. We're looking at venues now.
And people, you don't sit as an audience. You're literally right there, and you're dancing, and everybody's having a wonderful time.
Let's just say that I had to make sure that everyone had really good undies on. Yes. In fact, in one scene, you definitely see someone's map of Tasmania. You can count your little golden apples. That one.
We're getting close, folks, where you can ask the panel a question, but I've still got a few more minutes where I can ask them my questions. The casting, I mean, it's amazing, because I think the casting is kind of perfect. I think all the performance is just so brilliant, and you can't really imagine anybody else in these roles. But then there's all these stories about all these other people that were approached, and Tony Curtis almost had the role, and Jason Donovan, Michael Hutchins, lead singer of INXS, apparently was in the running.
Tony Curtis had just got married, and his wife said, "You're not going to be a drag queen
again."
So.
Right. So Tony Curtis was approached, and he was keen.
There's a great ABC show that's on now called The Assembly. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but the first person, it's Spurgic people, and it's the first person that was interviewed was Sam Neill, and this really tall, intelligent guy gets up and says, "Tell us about the roles that you turned down." And Sam went, "Well, I could have been a drag queen, but Hugo beat me to it."
Yeah, and Michael Hutchins from INXS?
Always too busy. his whole payroll would have been, you know, the tap at the microphone, testing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have the money.
Okay.
He was too busy with his accessories. I didn't say that. That's cool.
Cerise, do you have a favourite performance in the film? Any of the performers that really stand out for you?
Look, of the leads, I think Guy Pearce's
Yeah.
performance is the one I'm most struck by to this day. It's the one where I least see the familiar actor. I more see this transformed glamazon, and Guy knocked that out of the park. I don't know how you'd have known that he had that in him. I presume he was auditioned and had to strut his stuff.
Who knew he was that bitchy?
No, we just wanted to have Mike from Neighbours and subvert him. He did it himself.
Because that's what he would still have been very much known for at that point. Had he even had a novelty single at that point? No?
No, but he did have a musical theatre background, which we didn't know about.
Yeah, and what did you make him do in an audition? What was the gig? What did they have to pick a particular track?
We took him to the shift, put him in drag, and took him to the shift and
pour a lot of wine down their throats.
See what happened. That was not true. I'm making it up.
Was it true?
Yeah.
Actually,
I can
Karen-
neither confirm
Karen
nor
was really
deny
right.
that we popped a piece down Mike from Neighbours' throat.
And did Guy Pearce sort of campaign for the role? Like, did he approach you, or was that just someone who you thought?
No, it was general consensus that he was quite a hunk and it would be a fabulous Felicia. Felicia's been really interesting on the stage productions all the way around the world, actually.
Yeah.
It's all sorts of nuances, not just straight for the bitchiness. Terence, of course, was terrified.
Right.
I wasn't
pain.
out that night. Someone else was. But they decided to trial run the, tranny training bra. And Tim and it was Al and Steph. And
Yeah, we took him out in the town.
yeah, you went to Stonewall, didn't you?
Yeah, but it's called
All in
Stonewall
drag,
now.
in makeup and heels, and Terence was terrified.
But it was good, and the funny thing was is that nobody recognised anybody, and they had the best time. I mean, it was just alcohol. Come on, as if we're going to give our actors drugs. What's that they say about Mickeys? No, kidding. No, but they had a great time, and they got to explore the world, and the best thing was nobody recognised them, which was good because there ended up being vomiting at some point. Was that Hugo? I think it was.
It was Technicolor yawn under the table by Hugo, yes.
We're now at that point where you are welcome to raise your hand. There are some roving mic people, and here is the question.
Just based off the last question, if you were going to cast it using today's actors, who would you want to see in the roles?
Well, such a good question.
What was the question?
Oh my God,
If
we
you're
could
gonna
open that to
recast-
well, let's open that to the room. Who can see? Oh, you can't.
So, Rebel, if you were going to recast the film, who would you cast today in those roles?
I'd bring them back for the dead and keep the same ones I've got.
Others? Tim? Cerise?
I couldn't. They were all so spectacular, and the combination was so magical.
Yeah.
It would be really hard to replicate that today.
Yeah, I agree. And the chemistry between them is amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, and
They
that
work
tension
so well
between
together.
Guy Pearce and Terence Stamp is just...
But they were also buddies too. Like, we became a family out there when we were making that film, and together, we all hung out together. It wasn't like when you normally work on a film, everybody goes to their separate corners after you finish shooting. But on this one, we'd finish shooting, and then we would just hang out.
Yeah.
First, we'd get them out of costume, but we would. It was a family.
And those one-liners that Terence Stamp has, I mean, what a gift that script must have been for him. Like, it's just incredible. Do we have some other questions? There's a mic coming.
Just in regards to the costumes, I was wondering how much of it the design was scripted and then how much you just came up with.
Oh, thank you. That's a great question. Stefan's a very visual person. So when I got the script, I got things like, for that scene with the silver fabric on the bus, I got a description that said, Felicia climbs on top of the bus, she looks like the front of a Rolls Royce. That was it. And actually, if you've seen that, that's called the Spirit of Progress. And she's not very interesting. But we expanded on that. Also, for the finale, I got the script and it says the Queens arrive at Alice Springs and then they do the finale. So I was like, okay. And I was like, how many numbers do you want on this finale, Steph? And he's like, oh, I reckon they should have a few numbers. I was like, what's the theme? He's like, don't care. Whatever you reckon. So I thought, well, what is the cheesiest possible theme I could come up with? Australiana. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with a bit of bottle brush, a bit of waddle.
Yeah.
A lizard or two.
And it's spectacular in the stage. I mean, Timmy's costumes in the stage. You've got the lip sync divas coming down as galahs. You've got the kangaroo and the Benji comes out as it's a small kangaroo, isn't it?
Yeah. So the great thing about the musical is I got to redo all the costumes the way I wanted them to be, with all the money. And the finale of the musical is really spectacular, builds and builds and builds. You know, I've seen the musical maybe 200, 300 times, and it has never not got a standing ovation.
Well,
good.
Any more questions? There's one down the front that I can see. There is a mic coming very quickly.
Hi. What's your favourite costume in the movie and why?
I'll pass this on to other people.
What's your favourite?
Mine is actually the thong dress. That scene is amazing when they get off the bus and do the walk down the main drag. But actually, it's my favourite because of the story that Rebel tells about how it was made. And just literally going to Target, buying up all the thongs from Target, getting the cable ties and putting it all together. I just think, the ingenuity and just having to be so creative with so little money, the costumes are amazing.
Did you get the thongs for $13.75 because they were pink and orange?
No, less than that. My microphone doesn't like me. Come back here,
just move it a bit closer.
Yeah, my mum worked at Target, so we got the staff discount. got 18% off, full box. They were good because they didn't just make the dress. No. We did a purse, did earrings, and we did knee-high boots, which are one of those costumes that only make it through the shot.
I love the emu dress.
You like the emus?
Oh, I think it's so funny. It's just brilliant.
I reckon that the reason why that works is the framing of the scene.
Yeah.
Because you go, oh, here's some showgirl, some feather, and then it pulls back.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that dude, that's wacky.
Yeah. That sequence is crazy.
Crazy.
All of the lizards and what Hugo's doing, it's just amazing.
Well, it's really interesting for any technical people here. So Colin, who was our production art director, did this very clever thing that I've used ever since. There's no neon on that set.
Yeah.
But it looks like the lights are flashing and changing colours. It's Scotch Brite, which is a 3M product, stuck on the walls, and then when you hit it, so the trick is, just so you know, your light source has to be with your camera. Like if you take a photo of 3M product, it will flash for you. But they put little flashlights on top of the cameras, and then occasionally they would stick a gel in front of it with a different colour to make the lights different. Totally in camera, cost nothing.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, off topic.
There's a trick for filmmakers out there.
Good trick.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Any more questions? Okay, we're just warming up now. We've got a question down. Well, we've got some hands at the back. We've got a lot of hands at the back. Do they have a
Hello.
Oh my God, we're totally full.
And
Everybody for coming. Look at this, mate.
Please ask your question.
Well, as a community, we have many anthems, and I was just wondering why and how you chose the songs for the movie.
We had to use the Polygram catalogue, and ABBA was part of the Polygram catalogue, but it was running out. And when it was meant to start, so the Charlene song right at the beginning, Hey Lady, and I've never been to me, that was meant to be an ABBA song, but we had to shoot. We couldn't wait. So it came through, the permission came through 2 days afterwards. So we ended with the ABBA. So we only did it once. But all the songs had to be. And look, shouldn't we actually change our national anthem to I Will Survive?
Such a great song. Gloria Gaynor recorded that song after she broke her back falling off stage, and that's why she recorded it. Incredible.
Wow.
Is it true, Rebel? So Bill Hunter's shooting Muriel's Wedding and Priscilla at the same time, and he's just going back and forth. Is it true that he came back from Muriel's Wedding and he said, on this other film I'm making, they're using ABBA as well, and there was this rivalry between the two productions, and you're both writing cease and desist letters, and it sort of just continued like that? Is that... Tell me it's true.
I couldn't possibly
parallel.
say.
Yeah.
But it was shot at the same time.
Yeah.
It was the lovely Linda House produced that.
And I heard Stefan say he didn't even know if you had the rights for ABBA when you made those sequences.
And things got a lot tighter with ABBA across the world because they then took everything back. And of course, they've now got ABBA Voyage in England, which is their own £50 million show, and I'm not sure why. But we love our ABBA and they do Waterloo, I think, in Muriel's, don't they?
Yep.
And it's just glorious. It's fun. It's what girls would want to, girls just want to have fun with Waterloo. I mean, it was a great choice. And it was, Stefan is actually deaf in one ear, right, but he has the most extraordinary talent with soundscapes and movie scores.
Like Beethoven.
Yeah. Tim, did the songs inform your costumes? Like, were you aware of the songs that were being used, and did that kind of inform what you were doing with the design?
Dude, it was such an organic thing. So we found out we had polygram music, and Steph and I basically chose all the songs from the film in a couple of hours, sitting in a bar, having a couple of bevies. Yeah. And he didn't want to use Finally. And because it was contemporary at the time. And I was like, no, it's perfect. It's the end of the film. Let's use Finally. Yeah. I can see how the costumes are going to work. But yeah, because he had to change everything. Yeah. He had placeholders, but once we had the new library, we had to change everything. But there were so many good songs. Yeah. I mean, Never Been to Me, Hello. That is. And that could have died had we not brought it back to life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Finally is probably the best song in the film. Is there another question? There's a hand up here, there's a hand at the back. If someone's got a mic, just say your question, please.
By the way, the music budget was actually separate. We had to go back to the FFC for that money. It was 200,000 we had to go back, wasn't it?
Jesus.
You could choose it, but you had to...
Yeah, okay, the question.
Lucky it was good music.
Yep.
For me, one of my favourite parts about the whole film is the shots of the Queens in the desert and this incredible showcase of the Australian landscape, and also like Australian rural communities and what it looks like and what the people out there are actually like. Do you think long term the film has had a bigger impact on the Australian queer community or the Australian community as large?
Gee, that's so easy. I think it's the Australian community. I mean, we were represented at the Olympics. I mean, that's really spectacular, and I feel like Australia in general has really taken this film to be their own. Everybody feels like it's their film.
Yeah.
Was there ever any pushback from tourism boards from some of the parts of the country that were depicted as being a little hostile towards the Queens?
I don't know, but the funny thing was when we actually shot the Broken Hill stuff, they are all the people of Broken Hill, and when we arrived, it was seriously a parade coming into town, and we were so embraced. And when you look at the scenes when they're walking down the streets, everyone's going, hi. Like Stefan's trying to get them angry, but they're not. They're like so excited. It was wonderful, and I'm so happy to see that we have the Broken Hill Festival. There's like 3 or 4 festivals now around Australia. They're huge. And
Broken Hill being the Broken Hill Festival. It's just been
and
on.
get back to the start of that question, everything looks good against the Australian landscape, whether you're a drag queen or in a wedding dress, if you've got your thong on and doing nudes, everything looks good against parched earth.
Yeah. And can I also say, I mean, the film needs to be seen on the big screen just to really capture the beauty of the landscape. And there's something also about watching the film with an audience, which is, quite electric always. We have time for one very quick question. There's a gentleman at the front with his hand up, but does somebody else have a mic?
Hi, yes.
Okay.
Following on from conversations about the landscape, you're spoiled for choice. How did you actually decide where to shoot?
Oh, that's a funny one, isn't it, Rebel? When we got out there, they had this unseasonable amount of rain. So it was more like we were shooting The Wizard of Oz. It was carpets of flowers. And every time you turn a corner, it would be in carpet of another colour of flowers. So they actually had a hard time finding places that looked deserted and rough, because everything was so beautiful, except for the
Painted Desert. That's beautiful.
Oh, the Painted Desert was really incredible. Yeah. But the outback is so full of incredible places. There's this one place called the Moon Plain, which is, does anyone know what mica is? Yeah, mica is a mineral that sheets off like glass, and it's there's like maybe hundreds of hectares of space covered in mica. You go out there at night time and it's like being on the moon. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Very finally, was the weather as good as it looks, or were there problems with the weather at all? Because it just looks like it's like, idyllic weather every day.
There were ridiculous floods, and if you've ever been in the outback when it's raining, it just runs over the road, and unexpectedly too. We got caught in this place called the Owl Barn. Remember the Owl Barn? So the Owl Barn, last story, I've got 2 minutes. So the Owl Barn was in the middle of, can I swear on this radio broadcast?
Well, it's on Radio National.
Oh, it's Radio National.
Let's just swear on Radio National.
Bum F nowhere. It was a place where people would stop on the way to somewhere. Anyway, we got trapped in there. We went into the kitchen because we were a bit thirsty. And all of these buses that had been coming and people had been having drinks and things, no one had washed anything for like 8 months. It was stacked and covered in red dirt. The whole place was so putrid. And look, even my microphone's receding. But we got stuck there because when you came out, there were waves like 6 feet high coming over the roads because it had been raining. It wasn't raining where we were, but it had been raining elsewhere. It's spectacular.
And remember the dust storm that came over? Was that, and Terence going, I want goat's yogurt.
Yeah. 30 seconds.
All right, you got 30 seconds.
30 seconds. So the funniest thing that happened on the film was when Terence got a blowfly stuck between his real eyelash and his fake eyelash. He ran around screaming, going, "Ah!" And I'm trying to pin him down, and it's going zzz, zzz. We got it out, though, and we went on with the scene.
We're completely out of time. Would you please warmly and enthusiastically thank Tim Chappel, Cerise Howard, Rebel Penfold-Russell and Kristy Kokegei. Thank you very much.